Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network, brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. We come to you on this Football Friday before a weekend that a lot of people think is the best football weekend of the year on the Mike Francesa channel, on the Bet Rivers Network, on YouTube. Throw in the Notre Dame Ohio State game Monday night. You have 5 games. Cherish them. Enjoy them. It's supposed to be in the East and the Midwest, a cold, snowy weekend, which will only up TV ratings. You have 5 big games, 4 NFL, and then the championship game on Monday night, which we'll get to. And after this, there's only 3 games left, 2 championship games, and then the Super Bowl, which never feels like a football game anyway. So here we go. The hard thing for me on this football weekend is to find a legitimate underdog. Now, I'm not counting the Bills and the Ravens. That game is going to be right around pick'em. Right now, it's Baltimore 1. I don't think it's going higher than 1 anybody. Okay, I think it's probably going to finish up at pick. The weather's going to be very favorable for the Bills. It's supposed to be a wind chill under 10, which, considering that Lamar Jackson has had trouble on the road in the playoffs, and he's not the cold weather player that Josh Allen is. Josh Allen's 9-1 in games under 30 degrees. He's also almost unbeatable at home, so it makes it a fascinating game. We'll hold that to last. That game, I'm treating it like it's dead. Even like you said, the Ravens are 1 right now. Now, the other 3 games, you have to be, I think, strongly on the favorite. Although I can admit on the 3rd game, I can see a scenario where the Eagles struggle and that game is very tight because they have the coach, they have the quarterback. The weather's not going to be good for them either. Let's take them one at a time. We start with Houston. Now, last week in the wild card weekend, I went 3-3 against the spread. The one that surprised me was the Chargers. I thought my 2 best bets last weekend were Buffalo 1, which I thought was a complete lock, and I thought Chargers 2. I didn't like Houston going in, but they stopped the Charger running game, and Herbert imploded. Everybody imploded for the Chargers except Ladd McConkey, who was just absolutely brilliant and is a brilliant young receiver. I tell you, you give me Nakua and Ladd McConkey as my starting wide receivers, I'd be the happiest offensive coordinator in the world. I don't need anything else. I love those 2 guys. And Ladd McConkey is special. He really is. Give Houston credit. Give their defense credit. They won that game on defense. They didn't win that game on offense. They made a couple of plays, though. That play where it was a bad snap, he picked up the ball. It was 3rd and 16. He rolled right and hit Hutchinson back across the middle for about 34 yards. That and the 27-yard scramble, because he's not really a running quarterback, were the 2 plays that were back-breaking plays for the Chargers. But when you turn the ball over 4 times on the road, you're going to lose. That's all there is to it. And you got a guy who came into the game, had 3 interceptions on the season, had 4 interceptions in the game. He imploded, completely imploded. Harbaugh took the blame, but let's be honest, he's just sheltering his quarterback. His quarterback was terrible in this game, absolutely terrible. Houston now, though, is in a different place. They are 0-5 lifetime in the divisional round, and they go into the Lions' den, going into Arrowhead to face a very rested, very healthy Kansas City Chiefs team. It is not a tall order. It is almost an impossible order. Chiefs are 8.5-point favorites. They're not bigger than that because we know that they have this propensity for winning games between 1 and 7 points. We know that. So they're not what you would call a team that is good playing margins. They don't play margins. They're just brilliant in one score games. Think about what you have to overcome and think about what you're looking at. You have a team that has been resting really since Christmas. You have a team that is home, doesn't lose, and you have to topple a Hall of Fame quarterback. I mean, a Hall of Fame coach who is on his way to be a legend, a Hall of Fame quarterback who's on his way to be a legend, a Hall of Fame defensive lineman in Jones, and a Hall of Fame tight end in Kelsey. So think about it. You're looking at four lock Hall of Famers, and you're looking at two absolute all time legendary figures in this game in Andy Reid and Mahomes. Andy Reid's one of the great coaches of all time. Now, in my pantheon, okay, you you start off trying to get to third. You can't get to one or two because in my world, the best coach of all time in any sport is Vince Lombardi. His name adorns the trophy for a reason. He was 9-1 in the postseason, and that's 9-0 after an 0-1 start, losing as Green Bay did in 60 in the championship game to the Eagles. 9 yards short. We will never be stopped 9 yards short again. Um, Lombardi is one. Paul Brown is two because everything that anybody does as ritual, as habit in the NFL, is done because Paul Brown invented it. Paul Brown is the father of modern football, without any question, the most innovative and the most trend developing coach in the history of the sport. So to me, it's always Lombardi one, Brown two. Now, you think about trees, and Andy Reid is the descendant from Paul Brown because you have Brown to Walsh, Walsh to Holmgren, Holmgren to Andy. And that Walsh tree has been very impressive. That Holmgren tree has been very impressive. And now you have Andy standing there. And on the other side, you have other developing trees, including the Parcells tree, which has gotten very, very good. And of course, now McVay is developing his own tree as at a very young age, as a matter of fact. But Andy's that direct descendant from Holmgren to Walsh, right up the line. Now, the biggest thing the Chiefs had to do was figure out how to try to see if they could do anything to help their tackle situation. They were extremely vulnerable at tackle. And to me, that is, again, the key to this game. If Houston is going to do anything in this game, they are going to expose the Kansas City tackles. Now, Kansas City took a desperate move. They moved a great guard to left tackle in Thuney because they had no choice. It has settled things down. But he's a better guard than he is a tackle. And they're still weak at the other tackle. That is where you go after the Chiefs. Texans have pass rushers and they have guys in the secondary. They're good at both. They have very good players there. Can they get a pass rush on Mahomes? I think Mahomes knows he's got to get rid of the ball quickly. He's got the players to get rid of the ball quickly with. I think you will see Worthy be a big part of the offense. And remember this, Hollywood Brown has made a big difference in that team because it now allows Worthy to be utilized the way they wanted to utilize him from the start of the season, but couldn't because they needed him in another role. Now they've put him in the role that they wanted to put him in from the start. And now you have really dangerous receivers, which Kansas City didn't have for a while. Let's be honest. Kansas City went through a time this year where their tackles stunk. Kelsey was in a huge funk. All right. And they had no deep threats. That's over with. It's over with. Kelsey's funk is over. They have deep threats now. Worthy has become a part of the offense. His speed is blinding. They have the running game, and they have a tremendous defense led by, I think, the most underrated player in football in Jones, who dominates in the fourth quarter of playoff games. That's what he does. He takes them over. Chris Jones is one of the great tackles of this generation. He's one of the great players of this generation. He does not get the attention that he deserves, but that's okay. He gets championships. He gets money, he gets championships, and he'll wind up in Canton. That defense is really good. Everyone talks about the guys I talked about, but this team is loaded on defense and coached brilliantly by Spag. So beating Kansas City's defense is really hard. Then you got to deal with the guys on the other side Andy's brain, Mahomes' right arm, and legs, and Kelsey, and Worthy, and Pacheco, and on and on and on. Can you expose the tackles? If you can't, you're dead. Let's be honest, you probably did anyway. All right. I don't think I would be stunned. Stunned. Would I be surprised if Kansas City started slowly because they've been off a while? No. Would I be surprised if it was a game in the third quarter? No. Would I be surprised if Houston won? I'd be stunned. I would be absolutely stunned. No one likes to pick the Kansas City Chiefs as a favorite because they're a terrible favorite. I think they win this game, 26-13, something like that. Maybe even bigger than that, but more than 8.5. Kansas City is designed on going back and winning this thing again. They are in perfect shape to do that. They got their rest. They have their health. They have their pieces in place. See, the Lions are missing a lot of their pieces on defense. Kansas City's in one piece. They're very, very dangerous. And whoever wins that Buffalo Baltimore game will set up another epic matchup next week in Arrowhead where Kansas City will be waiting. The second game is Washington and Detroit. The question here is just how good can Daniels be? Because Daniels is the whole. If Daniels wasn't in this game for Washington, Washington gets beat in this game by 35 points. But that kid is dangerous, extremely dangerous, and he controls the game. They're very good on third down. They're very good on fourth down. Punts are going to be a rarity in this game because anything on the 4th and 5, anywhere out past the 30-yard line, they're all going for it. I mean, this is the go for it game. That's what it is. This is the go for it game. You're not going to see a lot of punts. You're going to see a lot of fourth down conversions. That's the way this game is. The Lions are unstoppable on offense. Case closed. They have, you can debate whether the Eagles or the Lions have the best offensive line. We can sit there and debate it for an hour. Doesn't matter. They both have great offensive lines. You have here a powerful, great offensive line led by a right tackle in Sewell, who to me is the best lineman in the sport. There are a lot of good ones. I think he's the best. Gibbs is an absolute nightmare, both catching the ball and running the ball. They give him a lane, and he comes through there at 100 miles an hour, and he's in the end zone. Montgomery's supposed to play. They didn't even need him. It's nice to have him back. Takes a little break off Gibbs. Also lets Montgomery handle the short yardage stuff. He does that better than Gibbs does. But this is a Lion team that scores 33 points a game, which gets 400 yards every game, which can run the ball down your throat and beat you in the air, beat you on the ground, has weapons everywhere, has wide receivers, has running backs, has offensive linemen, has quarterback, is daring and dominant on offense. They're going to score right now. You can write it down over 35 points in this game. The question is, how many does Washington score? Now, if you ever had a game that was destined for a backdoor cover, this is your game, and that's your fear here. I'm going to pick the Lions to win, and I'm going to pick them to win by more than the 9.5 because you got to make a pick. This is the game where you can see it. I mean, you can almost script it, where Lions have broken the game open, and the kid who's had a pretty good night, had his moments, is now down 17 and hits a touchdown late, gets the backdoor cover, goes for 2, and wins by 8 or 9. Can you see it? 100. I mean, it's almost like it's a script. You can see the backdoor cover here. Unbelievable. I mean, the Lions are not that good on defense. They're going to let up in the last 2 or 3 minutes if they're winning by double digits. They don't care if they score. Just get ready for the onside kick, which are worthless. So the bottom line is there's a better chance of the backdoor cover here than there is them blowing them out by 30 points. Daniels has been sensational. For a first-year player, he has been off the charts. He got a win on the road as a rookie, which is rare. The guy seems better as the game is tighter. He seems better in the fourth quarter. He calls his own number. Now, The Lions played very well against the Vikings, but they knew where the quarterback was every play. They don't know where this quarterback's going to be every play. He's going to pose a whole lot of different problems. Whole lot of different problems. Now, you saw Tampa using 2 spies on him in the game. 2! Which opens things up in the passing game. They had Bulls had 2 spies on him. Why? Because every time it's 4th and 2 or 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, he runs for a first down. It's impossible. He's like a lighter version of Lamar Jackson. This kid's sensational. So Washington's had a great year. They're playing with house money. They're not going to beat the Lions. Could they keep it close? Yeah, they could. Lions defense is not that good. Now, they played well against Minnesota, and Minnesota's very puzzling why they came apart at the seams the last couple of weeks, and their offensive line just fell apart. They pressured Donald a lot. They are not going to do that to this guy, because this guy will take it and run 13, 15 times in the game. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if he runs all night. And he's unflappable. Really unflappable. Still, the Lions are the same all the time. They are daring. They are committed. They are fearless. Their head coach is going for everything. His pedal is to the metal all the time. I see it 41-28. And like I said, the backdoor cover, this one could break your heart. So be careful. It could break your heart because you could get a backdoor cover in the last minute of this game without even blinking. So I like the favorites. In this round, you usually like the favorites anyway, and then you pick your spot with the upset. Usually, if the team if you get the game under a touchdown, the favorite usually wins. When you get up to 8.5, 9.5, 10 points, sometimes you get beat on the back door because they're up 2.5, 2 scores, 2+ scores, 17, 20 points, and then they get beat on the backside. I like the favorites. I think Kansas City absolutely wins against the Texans. I think the Lions win for sure. I'd be stunned, just like I'd be stunned if Houston won. I'd be stunned if Washington won. I would not be stunned if the Rams won. First of all, you're dealing with a great coach. Secondly, you're dealing with a tremendously experienced, talented, winning quarterback. Plus, they have weapons. Now, what's against them here? 2 very distinct things. One's the weather. The Rams are not the same team away from home. And number 2, this is not their weather they're going to get. They're going to get Eagle weather. The Rams have to prove that they can handle the physicality of the Eagle running game. The Rams are talented on defense, but they're small. Verse and Young are really good pass rushers, but they are not big guys. They're going to have trouble with the Eagle offensive line. They're going to get pushed around. Now, if the Rams have any success against that running game, they are in this game for good. I don't know what Higbee's going to do. I don't know his status. We'll have to watch that before the game. He'd be a big help because he's a good part of their offense. But with Williams, with their brilliant receivers, with their quarterback, with their coach, they're a dangerous team. The Eagles had a big loss, losing N'Kobe Dean. He called the signals. Now Zach Brown will call the signals. He was a really good player for them. That's a big loss. He's out for the rest of the playoffs. The Eagles are really good. They're a great offensive line. They're a big-time defensive front. But Stafford will get rid of the ball quickly. And he's got the receivers who, first of all, one of them's always in motion. And the other one's going to they're going to force feed him the ball as much as humanly possible. 17's getting the ball. It's all there is to it. You all know it. This game I can see the Rams not getting blown out because they can't handle the conditions and they can't handle the offensive line, or I think either the Eagles win this game in a game that's so boring it's tedious to watch, or this game goes right to the wire. To me, there's no in between in this game. If the Rams are in it, they're going to be all the way in it. They're not going to lose this game, by 7 or 10 points. I think they're either going to lose this game big or they're going to be right in it to the finish. And I think they're going to be in it to the finish. I like the way they've played. Their coach is smart. Their quarterback is smart. And the Eagles got a little weird stuff. The quarterback didn't look good last week. I don't like the Brown stuff. Barkley's been brilliant. Eagles are really talented. I just got a weird vibe about the Eagles last week. Maybe I'm wrong and they're going to be really good here. They're the better team. So if they win, I'm not surprised. But I would take the Rams in the 6, although I'm not telling you it's a best bet because it's not. But I would take the points in the 6 and think that there's enough going on for the Rams with their coach, with their quarterback. They have a winning culture. They know how to win. They've won before. They've come on strong. They dominated last week against the Vikings. And all doesn't seem right again there's always something with the Eagles lately that crops up here. This group with Hurts, with Brown, with Sirianni. I don't know what it is, but it just bothers me a little. Eagles are really good. They're a better team. Better team wins most of the time. They're home. They're gonna have the weather in their advantage. They have some matchup issues that are really big in their favor. So if you like the Eagles by 16 points or something, I have no quibble with it. But I'm going to take the Rams plus the points and say it's a 3-point game one way or the other. Then to the big one. Weather's going to be an issue. It's going to snow today. It's going to snow tomorrow. And Sunday is supposed to be really cold. It's supposed to be like 10 degrees or 11 degrees at game time. Not a lot of winds. So put the wind chill a couple of notches down. Better suited for Allen than Lamar Jackson. Listen, this is an enormous game, as anticipated a divisional playoff game as I can remember. You have the two leading MVP candidates. You have two brilliant players, both still looking to win that Super Bowl. You have Allen, who is incredibly dominant at home, doesn't lose in cold weather, doesn't lose at home. And Jackson, let's be honest, he has been an up and down postseason player. But, and this is a big but, this team, as constructed, isn't dangerous, it's lethal. The Jackson Henry tandem is a 1-2 punch for the ages. I don't think anybody can stop it. And I think if they have a lead in the fourth quarter, that running game that they can provide between those two will wear down any defense. Henry's one of the great running backs of all time. Jackson does things we haven't seen many players ever do at the position. I mean, last week he called his own number 8 straight times running the ball. This is a quarterback. He ran the ball 15 times. You're looking at 25, you're looking at 40 rushes between the two of them in this game, maybe 45 rushes between the two of them. They are rough to handle. And then they played a 2-man game where Jackson runs the option. And What do you do? If he gives it to Henry, that's a problem. If he keeps it, that's a problem. I mean, and he can throw it. Now, Flowers, I'd rather have Flowers, obviously, but do they have enough weapons without him? Yes, Bateman can do the job. They have other receivers who can catch the ball, and he loves throwing to the tight ends, especially Andrews. He's become a quarterback who's a terrific passer with terrific touch. He's lethal in the red zone. Now, on the other side, you have a quarterback who's the same way. So, what wins this game? Probably, which one leaves the ball on the ground or throws the bad pick that gets returned for a touchdown, or which ball gets tipped and returned for a touchdown, or which team makes the big mistake and gets a punt blocked, or lets somebody run a kickback for a touchdown. This game is well within that margin of error. There is no margin of error here. These teams, if this game was in Baltimore, I would say right now, Baltimore 34, Buffalo 28. Good night, the lights. Ravens win. This game's not in Baltimore; it's in Buffalo. Weather, check Bills. Home field, check Bills. Conditions for the quarterback, check Bills. Talent overall, check Ravens. Defense, check Ravens. Started slowly this year, made the change in the secondary, changed their defense. Well coached, Bills, pretty well coached. Ravens, superbly coached. If you like the Bills here, no one could argue. If you like the Ravens here, no one could argue. I think the Ravens are extremely dangerous. I think they can win this game, and I think they can win next week. Now, think about what's ahead for either of these brilliant quarterbacks. Allen has to beat Lamar Jackson and Mahomes to go to the Super Bowl. Forget the Lions if they're there. They have to beat Allen and Mahomes. Allen has to beat Jackson and Mahomes. That's a tall order because the and Mahomes part isn't any fun. You get through this game, you take a deep breath, and you realize, I earned the trip to Kansas City. It goes from one to the other. Listen, if these three teams got into a tournament and played a series of games, they'd each win the same amount of games. On neutral field, there's not a lot to choose from among the three teams. They're all Super Bowl level teams. What do you worry about with the Bills? I worry about their kicker. I worry about their defense. I worry about the Ravens. I worry about Jackson in the cold weather. I worry about Jackson on the road in the playoffs. I still worry a little bit about their defense. What do you worry about with the Chiefs? Their tackles. That's it. I don't worry about anything else with the Chiefs except their offensive tackle, which is a big deal. Because your offensive tackles get you beat. You get holding calls at the wrong time. They get beat at the wrong time. They get your quarterback knocked down. They get your quarterback stripped, and the ball's going the other way. That's a big problem. Have the Chiefs figured that out? If any one of the three teams is in the Super Bowl against Detroit, would you be surprised? Of course you wouldn't. They're all terrific teams. They're all terrific quarterbacks. They're all pro, Hall of Fame. They're all Allen, Jackson, Mahomes are all going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. There's no question. They're all going to the Hall of Fame. There's no debate about any of the three. The difference is Mahomes has rings and the other guys don't. So we get the game here. But the Jackson-Henry tandem, scary. Cook is a good player. He's not Derrick Henry. Nobody has those two players. And what they can do on the ground together. I mean, if you hold them for the game to under 150 yards, you deserve a medal. You deserve a medal. That's how good they are. Really, you're just hoping they don't hit you for 300 because they can hit anybody for 300. And to me, I've thought this all week, and again, would I wager on this game? I would not. Would I wager on the Bills? Would I wager on the Ravens at 9-2 to win the Super Bowl right now? I think that's a good wager at a good value because they win this game. I think they have a very good chance to do it. This game is going to be an incredibly hard game for any team to win. For either team to win, it's going to take a lot. They're both tremendous, tremendous players. They're both on very good teams. And the Bills are home, which evens the ledger. I'm going to take the Ravens. I'm going to take the Ravens. I'm signing my birthday card for my twins, who today, believe it or not, are 20. 20. Imagine that. I remember being on the air and getting a call to run across to the hospital. It was on Martin Luther King Day. Dog was off. And it's unbelievable that my twins, 117, 2005, and now they're 20 years old. 20 years old. Thanks, babe. Amazing. So happy 20th birthday to Emily and Jack. Amazing. You know, amazing. 20 years. Wow. Amazing. You know, as you get older and older, uh, and you're fortunate enough to have a family, and I'm very blessed in that area with an incredible wife and 3 great kids. Um, it's really what you care about. It's really everything is about them. It really is, and you just want to see things turn out great. And uh, everyone feels that way. I know. It's just amazing how fast they grow up, though. It really is remarkable. 20 years old today. Wow. Um, Baltimore is hitting this exactly right. I have not been a Lamar Jackson fan. I've picked against him a lot in the playoffs. I've always been critical of him in the playoffs. He's played lousy in big games in the playoffs, let's be honest. I think his record now is 3-3 in the playoffs. He's got a lot to prove on the road. And if he has a bad game Sunday, people are going to attack him, come for the territory. They're going to be, yeah, he's a great regular season player. Yeah, he plows these teams when they're overmatched. Can't do it in a big spot. That's what he's going to have to listen to until it changes. Maybe it changes Sunday. Right now, they have their defense playing well, and they have hit on something with this offense, with the foundation of it being Lamar and Henry's ability to run and bring what they bring in their 2-man game, and then the offshoot off that. Hey, to defend Lamar and everything he brings, and defend Henry and everything he brings, and then try to defend the pass. Can't do it all. And the Bills aren't equipped to do it all. This could be a last one with the ball wins. Maybe Allen breaks their heart. Maybe Lamar and Jax and Henry break their heart. Somebody's heart gets broken here. Somebody walks off this field a loser and feels like, man, I have to go back and you know, Pat Riley painted this picture for me years ago, and I always this time of year have it in my head when he says, when you lose one of these games in a big spot in the playoffs, you have to think of the off season conditioning program, then going back to training camp, then getting yourself in shape, then staying healthy and getting through another season. All that has to happen before you can get back to the same spot and try to justify and try to rebound from that defeat you just suffered. That's why these playoff defeats are so damaging and so hard to take. You ask any coach, a plane ride home from a playoff loss is unlike anything else. And if you're like someone who's like traveling with that team, you don't want to be on a plane if they lost. You don't want to even be near the team or the coaches when they lose. It is, as Riley used to say, winning and misery. Think about this from a Josh Allen standpoint. Think about this from a Lamar Jackson standpoint. The one who walks off a loser on Sunday has to hear, oh, can't get over the top. They have to hear about whatever mistake they might have made or what play they didn't make in this game. They have to watch the other one go forward. And they have to know they have to go through all the things they have to go through to hope to get back to the same spot again. There's so much on the line in this game. Is this a image making, career making game? In a way, yes. The winner of this game takes a big step forward, especially if he turns it around and beats Kansas City. Now, you might win this week and get beat by Mahomes next week. There's nothing you can do about that. They're great too. Right now, the AFC with these three teams, hey, it's tough. It's really tough. If any one of these three teams is in the AFC, I think they go to the Super Bowl. I'm not knocking the Lions. I think the Lions were built to be a Super Bowl champion this year, but their defense has been absolutely cut apart. I know they got Anzalone back, and they're getting a cornerback tomorrow, but you know what? They're not the same defense, and their defense has been very, very susceptible at times, and I worry about it. But they have clearly enough playing at home with their overpowering offense. They have enough to get to the Super Bowl. If they have enough to win the Super Bowl, that might be a different story. They'll have a tough time with Baltimore, Kansas City, or Buffalo. But those teams will have a tough time with their offense too. We'll get to that when we get to it. I hope the Lions make it because they make the Super Bowl a wonderful thing this year. And a lot of people will root for them because they like the coach and they also like the story. It's been a long time coming for the Lions. But it's also been a quest for these two quarterbacks. Neither one has gotten to hold and put that trophy over their head. And they want to do that in the worst way. And their careers are not complete until they do that. And they know they have to do that. Otherwise, there'll be a void that will never be filled. So when they put their head on a pillow on Saturday night, those two men have a lot on their minds. I think Ravens 30-27. So I'm picking Kansas City minus the Lions minus, knowing the backdoor cover is dangerous there. Rams +6 and Baltimore -1. Now we got another game Monday night. Ohio State, Notre Dame. I haven't lost a playoff game yet picking in this tournament, but it's been easy, to be honest with you. A lot of favorites. Plus, I like Notre Dame. So I told you they were going to make the championship before it started, and when they were underdog, I picked them every game. So the bottom line is, I've been fortunate. The only game I didn't pick was Oregon Ohio State. I said the winner of Oregon Ohio State would play Notre Dame for the championship. There they are. I didn't know that Ohio State was going to do that to Oregon. Now, Ohio State has shown you their power. They've also shown you where they're vulnerable. Uh, Jeremiah is the word here. Jeremiah Smith, who last week was taken out of the game. Also, there was a rumor that never has been substantiated that he got hurt early in that game, but he's supposed to be 100% here. And let's be honest, he's the best quarterback. He's the best wide receiver in the sport against the best player in college football. He's the best wide receiver against zone. He's the best wide receiver against man. Now, in this game, he's going to see a lot of man from Notre Dame, which plays man to man better than any team in the country. Ohio State's the better team. They are the more powerful team. They deserve to be favored. I don't think they deserve to be favored by 9.5 points. I think it's too much. Now, on the other side, you have another Jeremiah Love. Love is critical for Notre Dame, as is their quarterback. Smith, obviously, with what they get from a lot of different people on Ohio State. Last week, Henderson made a bunch of big plays. The number 2 receiver did a lot. The number 3 receiver did a lot. Notre Dame needs their quarterback to be as crafty and as clutch as he's been all year. I really like this Notre Dame team I have all year. You know why? It's a team. They beat you with all 3 facets. They beat you with the running game. They sometimes beat you with the passing game. Sometimes they beat you with the quarterback running. They beat you with special teams. They beat you with turnovers. They are a good team that plays great. They're good in all 3 areas. They're dangerous in all 3 areas. They're well coached. And they believe in themselves. And they believe in their ability to win tight games. Ohio State has everything. We know that. There's nothing they can't do. They can run it. They can throw it. Their quarterback can throw it. They got great wide receivers. They got some big-time players on defense. So does Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a really good defense. Though I think Ohio State's going to line up with their running game and just pound Notre Dame. I do not. I think they're bigger and stronger, but I think Notre Dame will be able to keep that under control. Plus, Notre Dame is surprisingly good. Now, they've lost some key people. They lost a couple weeks back, lost a big key on defense on the defensive line. Now they're down an offensive lineman. They have a very good offensive line, though. They have a guy in Love who breaks more tackles than anybody this side of, our friend in with Boise, Genty. Love is healthier than he was, and he still was pretty healthy. But the key to this game is not going to be Love. The key to this game, from a Notre Dame standpoint, is going to be the quarterback making the right play at the right time, and that means taking the ball down and running it on key downs, keeping the drive alive with his legs, throwing the slant to Faison. I'm telling you, number 6 for Notre Dame, the little wide receiver who's a lacrosse player, Faison, is incredibly important in this game. He is an underused weapon. They have to use him. And I love when they go to the slant with him and this quarterback. They are very good at connecting on the slant, and he's very good yards after the catch. I think he could be a very big key. I want to see him get 6 to 8 catches in this game. He reminds me of Edelman. He's a very utilized weapon. The key in this game is for Notre Dame to stabilize this game. Ohio State's going to look to deliver the knockout punch early. They want to be the bully. They want to play big, and they want to blow the game open early and not have any pressure. Notre Dame has no problem playing with pressure the whole game. I don't think Ohio State wants to play with pressure the whole game. I think Ohio State wants to build a big lead and coast home. That's how they prefer to play. Anyone prefers to play that way, but Notre Dame has no problem playing in a very close game where every play is magnified. They're good in those games. They excel in those games. And this quarterback is cagey. This is the whole team. If there's one word that describes Ohio State, it's overpowering. If there's one word that describes Notre Dame, it's opportunistic. They make the plays they need to make to win. They find a way to win. Can they find a way to win this game? Yes. I've been on Notre Dame the whole way. They have to get Smith under control early. I think they will. They have to make sure they don't make the big mistake and give Ohio State the easy scores. I think they'll be okay in that area. I also think their quarterback will handle what he has to handle, and he's got a lot on his shoulders in this game. I think this Notre Dame team has been playing without any margin, without any net for a long time. And they've learned how to play on that high wire and balance themselves and not lose their equilibrium at all. I think it's a high, I don't think it's a high swing game. I think it's 23-20, 26-23. I think it's a 3-point game. And if it's a 3-point game, why can't it be Notre Dame? Now, if there's a blowout here, and in these championship games, you're always susceptible to a blowout because emotions are running very high, and one team gets off flying, and the game's all. That happens a lot in champions. It happens more in championship games than happens in regular games, where one team just hits it running, and the next thing you know, they've blown the game sky high. I've seen good teams come into these championship games and just get demolished, and they're not bad teams. They didn't get off the dime, and the next thing you know, they were gone. Um, if there's a knockout here, Notre Dame is going to be on the receiving end. They're not going to blow Ohio State out. That's not who they are. Ohio State could blow them out. That's who they are. They blew out Oregon. If they could blow out Oregon, they could blow out anybody. I don't think that happens to the Irish here. I think the Irish are on their toes from the start. I think they're ready for this game. I think they're very dangerous. I think their special teams will make plays in this game that'll be positive for them. And I think their quarterback and his running ability and his ability to pull the trigger and make the right play at the right time will be the difference. He has to play really well for Notre Dame to win. They can't survive a bit. Ohio State could survive a so-so game from their quarterback. Notre Dame can't. I'm going to say take the points with the Irish with an outright win. Wouldn't be that surprising for me. I think they have a chance to win the game. And I think they're going to stay in the game all the way. You know, Texas stayed in the game, and then that strip and in return for a touchdown. You know, there were two plays in the game that killed Texas. The screen before the half, which was unconscionable that went for a touchdown, and the strip. You take those two plays out of the game, and you got a game that's going right to the wire. I think Notre Dame can absolutely do the same thing. I think they're better than people think. They aren't the best team, but they play better team, I think, than anybody else. They execute really well. They're clutch. They're opportunistic. They've been all that all season, and it's gotten them past some good teams, including Georgia, which was capable of beating any team in this thing. There were 5 teams I thought that were on that level. These are 2 of them. And Ohio State's the best team. I don't think anybody credits. That's why they're a 9.5-point favorite. Take the points with the Irish. We'll be with you all weekend. We'll be with you after the 2 games tomorrow. We'll be with you after the 2 games on Sunday. And I can't wait to do the one after the Sunday night game because there's going to be so much to talk about going forward to the championship Sunday, but also what that game means. Think about how much is on the line for those 2 players. It doesn't get any bigger than this. In their careers, this game is going to stand out. Who knows? This game might be talked about for a long time. It's got that kind of potential to be that kind of special game. I can't wait for it. Really, that game's going to be tremendous. 6:30 Sunday. If you like football, don't miss it. And then Notre Dame and Ohio State Monday night to finish the first of these new college football. Although they're talking about tweaking the system, and I think they should. We got plenty of time to talk about what they're going to do, and I think there's things they can do. But as a vehicle, it's going to be very special. Although it has destroyed the bowls. The bowls are over. The bowls as we know them. The other bowls, there's no reason to play them anymore. Expand this playoff and just do away with the other bowl games as we know them. It's now just about this, just like it is with the NCAA tournament. Now this is the end of the season event. That's it. That's the way it has to be. When you built this, you have to give something up. That's what has to be given up. And the way the sport is played now, it has to be that way. Now, let me tell you a couple things. One, let me tell you about the newsletter. Sign up for the Mike Francesa Podcast newsletter at MikeFrancesaPodcast.com. Check out everything there. So just go to MikeFrancesaPodcast.com to sign up for the newsletter. As far as the squares, you have a couple more opportunities to have the squares, and players can play same game parlays on college football and NFL games to earn squares. The exclusive squares game offers additional chances at profit boosts, bonus bets, and jackpots. You could win a jackpot just like that. So go to the Bet Rivers app for more details and play the square game on any of these games this weekend. I know everybody loves those same game parlays, and it's amazing how popular the prop bets have become. I mean, they are part and parcel now. The prop bets, and if you're listening now and you don't know what a prop bet is, I'm sure you do though. But how many yards a given player is going to have on Sunday? Okay, how many yards receiving? So they'll put a number out there. So let's say Barkley, they put him at 98 yards over under rushing. How many touchdown passes a given quarterback will throw? How many interceptions he'll throw? How many sacks somebody's will get? Sacks, you're always getting plus money, even betting for someone to get a sack because, sacks are hard to come by. Or a receiver, how many catches he might get in a game, how many catches, say, Worthy gets for Kansas City, or, just pick a guy, any guy you want. Brown gets for Philly this week, or Bateman gets, or Andrews gets, etc. How many yards Lamar Jackson's going to run for? Even how many attempts he's going to run, over under a certain number of how many attempts. So these prop bets have become incredibly popular. They really have, and they make up these same game parlays too, and they've become very popular in basketball too. A big part of, and if you want to get more information, just go to the Bet Rivers app and check it out. It's all there for you. They have everything. Here's the latest lines, courtesy of Bet Rivers, up to date. Here's what we're looking at as we head towards this weekend of great football games. Um, Ohio State's 9.5 over Notre Dame. Chiefs are 8.5 over the Texans. Lions are 9 over the Commanders. Eagles are 6 over the Rams, and the Ravens right now are a 1-point favorite over the homestanding Buffalo Bills. Enjoy your football. We'll see you Saturday, Sunday, and Monday right here on the Mike Francesa channel on the Bet Rivers Network on YouTube. Have a good day.